With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
This is a hardcore grind interview with legendary producer and writer Preston Glass. Welcome, Mr. Glass.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be on board. I appreciate it.
You are so very welcome. Now, I always like to ask about a go moment. So a go moment is really when thought and execution come together, because a lot of times we're mindful about others and how they pour into themselves and the things that they do for themselves. But when we have those thoughts to step out and do things differently, it normally is followed by lack, or I can't do it right now, or it's not the right time. So we tend to talk ourselves out of whatever God has placed in our spirit to do. So you started your career off as a staff writer for Philadelphia producer Thom Bell. What was that moment when you decided to step out and take your first client?
Yeah, well, Thom Bell was a top-notch producer, and I always liked his music from the time I was like 6 years old. So I really started just trying to emulate his music, but then when I became a teenager, I actually sought him out. And even though I lived in California, he lived in Philadelphia. I was a young man, 15, 16. But I said I would like to meet him and show him some of my music. So I found out that he was doing a seminar in Philadelphia. And so I flew 3,000 miles because I was determined to meet him and have him be a listener of my music. So I went there, attended the seminar, and he was so impressed that I came that way as such a young individual to him. He said, he wouldn't mind mentoring me. He said he could see my potential and showed me some things to work on. He said, look me up after I finished high school, which I did. So I don't know if that answered your question, but, I started really my go moment, I guess, would be when I was 5 years old. I knew at that young age that not only did I want to be in the music field, but specifically as a songwriter. I didn't really care to be an artist or, my whole career started as a songwriter. I became a producer and an arranger and a musician and all that other stuff. But it all started because of my songwriting, and I still today consider myself, when people ask me, well, what are you? I say I'm a songwriter.
I love it. Now, even though you enjoy being behind the scenes and you enjoy writing, the creative part of music, what was that moment like in your career when you decided to change up a little bit and release your first album?
Well, by that time I was well established, and as far as me releasing an album as an artist, I was approached by a small little jazz R&B label. And they said, have you ever thought of being an artist? I said, yeah, thought crossed my mind, but not really for me. But then he said, well, Quincy Jones, he's a top-notch producer, but he releases music that showcases other artists. You know, he's an artist, but part of his artistry is showcasing other artists. So I understand that that's what you like doing, producing artists. Would you be interested in doing an album or two like that, where you were the writer and producer, but you know, some of the other artists might be the singer? And so that attracted me. So that's when I started in 2006, started releasing solo albums. And the first three were all featuring, well, I did sing a few cuts, but it was mainly featuring established artists like Al Jarreau and Johnny Mathis and George Benson, people like that.
I love it. I love it. Now, you've written over 30 top 10 R&B hits and 5 top pop hits. What was your most memorable session?
Well, I'd have to say working with Stacy Lattisaw and Johnny Gill. They were both 16 years old. That was Johnny Gill before he became before he was in New Edition, you know. And I did the song "Perfect Combination," which was a top 10 hit for them on the R&B side, and it was just featured in King Richard movie with Will Smith about the Williams sisters, Serena Williams. But that session was very powerful because I saw the power of youth. I was young at the time, 23, but they were both just turning 16, and they were phenomenal. And it showed me that, well, you know, that's definitely a gift from God right there.
Absolutely. That actually, growing up, that was one of my favorite songs. And when I got married, that was my wedding song.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Wow, that's great to hear. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you like it.
And I thank you for creating it. Now, how does your creativity and inspiration...
You want to know something?
Go ahead.
Just a side point about that song, since you said creating it. Guess where most of the idea came? I was taking a bath. That's a perfect combination. That shows you the inspiration can happen anywhere. And, you know, I was just relaxing, and I thought of that melody first, and I thought of that title, Perfect Combination. And then I wrote the words, but the inspiration came in the bathtub.
I love it. I love it. Oh, my God. That song brings back so many just memories for me. But that growing up, that was one of my favorite songs.
All right. Good to hear.
Now, how does your creativity and inspiration flow?
Okay. Well, I try not to regiment it or it being a set way, but because I'm a in-demand producer sometimes, you know, and especially when I was real hot, you know, I had to do a lot of sessions, so I couldn't just wait for the inspiration. So I became real disciplined in first I would start with a title. I started creating files of just song titles, and I accumulated 3,000 to 4,000 song titles I had in my file. So whenever I was asked to do a project, I would come up with the title first. Sometimes I would look through the files. I'd have a title I had already thought of, and that title usually inspires the music or the melody. For instance, like if I have a song title like Who's Zooming Who, which I had for Aretha, well, that tells me it's probably going to be an up-tempo kind of a tune. So I'll start coming up with the melodies and the rhythms and all that. And then the words usually come and you fit them like a puzzle into the melody you've already created. And I would say that happens with me about 95% of the time. You know, that other 5% I allow for, unforeseen occurrences, you know.
Absolutely. So how would you describe your musical ear?
how would I describe my musical ear? Well, it's real vast. I love all kinds of music, and I think that came from growing up in, even though I've never lived overseas, my dad was in the Army, so I was what you call an Army brat, and I moved all over the country in a lot of different towns, and every place I went, was different cultures, different types of people, which means different kinds of radio stations. Sometimes it'd be an area that we lived that only played country and western. Sometimes it'd be only rock. Sometimes it'd be only R&B. So whatever area, I got accustomed to what was on the radio, and so my ear got open at an early age to all different kinds of music, jazz. My older brothers were into jazz, and that helped me to have an appreciation for that. So I think that's helped me in all kinds of music to have a vast appreciation, because then if I'm doing let's say just a soul or R&B record, I might throw in a few little jazz changes or something.
I love it. Now, how have you grown in your craft over the years?
Well, I think I've tried to stay on top of the changing music industry. The industry's changed a lot. Music is universal and will always touch the heart no matter what style, but the industry keeps changing because, back in the day, I had mentioned radio stations, right? So they were pretty much the boss, besides record companies. Back then, you couldn't put out your own music. You had to be signed by a record company or else hope to be signed. Nowadays, you can put out your own music. You can put it on your own label. You can put it through CD Baby or one of the distributors that they have. You can be an independent artist that has the freedom to do anything you want to do. And so I try and stay on top of the changing vessels of music and the changing styles as well.
Absolutely. And what's the biggest lesson you've learned throughout your journey?
Stay true to myself and don't try and copy any body or any trend. One person taught me a long time ago, music revolves just like the world revolves. So if you feel yourself at a given time like you're not the current fad or the current thing, just stand still. Don't try and chase nothing. Stand still and the world will revolve right back to you. So that's a big lesson I learned. And I've seen it happen as long as I've been in the industry. It does come back to you.
I love it, and that's a lesson for everything. That's a word right there. Yes.
There you go.
Now, music can heal and inspire all at once, but listening in a dynamic puts you in a dynamic trance for hours. African American artists have pioneered the industry with that desire and their pen in hand. How does it feel to be one of the elites, fueling the passions of so many others that watch and admire your writing?
That's a good question. It's definitely an honor, and it reminds me of the, I guess you would call it, responsibility of trying to do music from the heart to reach the heart, and also being responsible about what I write about, because I know it does reach so many hearts. So.
Absolutely. Now, when I listen to your music, the songs that you've written, it takes me back to the music my mom and dad would listen to, the music that I've enjoyed just growing up over the years, and it makes my soul dance.
Oh, great.
What artists, groups, or songs have influenced you the most, and why?
Ooh, wow, that there's so many. I mean, not only of course back in the day when the music was out there that inspired me, which of course, as I mentioned, was all different styles. You know, everybody from James Brown to the Motown music to Philadelphia music to pop music like Carole King and Neil Diamond and them cats. I like some of the new music, you know, people like Snow Allegra, Daniel Caesar, and, you know, Her. I love Her, Her. So staying on top of cool music keeps me inspired, you know.
Absolutely. Now, you're a 6-time BMI award-winning writer. You've produced #1 hits from Earth, Wind, and Fire to Kenny G, Whitney Houston, Natalie Cole. I mean, the list goes on, which makes you a legend. How does it feel when people say you are a legend in the music industry?
Honored, but also old. You know. Yeah, like, oh, okay. But no, I'm really honored because I know my intentions were never to be that. It's just my intentions were to make music that makes people feel good, makes me feel good, and like I said, music that's from the heart, that reaches the heart. So if I've been able to have some achievement, that's a bonus there. Never for the money, always for the music.
I love it. And it's not old, it's vintage. You know, vintage is that good thing that everybody want to have all the time. They gotta have something vintage to make them feel inspired.
I like that. Okay, I remember that.
Now, do you have any new music or events or coming up?
Yeah, one thing I will mention, I have a small little record label that's distributed through Warner Brothers, but it's a label that I partnership with David Nathan out of the UK, out of London. It's Platinum Garage Recordings through Soul Music Records. Mm-hmm. So every 6 weeks we release product. We have some, of course, legendary artists, but we pride ourselves on releasing music from new artists that I'm either writing for or producing for. So I have a song that's coming out, a digital single on an artist named Takim, Takim, that's coming out April 14th. It features George Benson on guitar, and the song is called Dancing to a New Groove, which will be the title of his debut album. His first single, this is his third single. His first single went top 10 in Europe on the UK Soul chart. And so we look forward to this single doing well with George Benson, and then his album coming out later in the year.
I love it. Now, with all the things you've accomplished, tell me what's next. You got some new music coming out. You have your record label. What else do we have in the works? What are you cooking in your creative kitchen?
Well, I always, with this label, you know, to release product every 6 weeks, it means you got to keep busy. So I look forward to writing and producing and discovering new talent. And then I always like to teach. So occasionally when I have time, I give back by teaching at whether it's at schools or colleges, or just some seminars and stuff like that. That's how I got discovered. So.
And do you have any new artists on your bucket list that you would love to work with?
You said, well, first you said artist, but then you said new artist. The reason why I said that because, well, there's a couple of people I would love to work with that I never have.
Okay, who?
One is Stevie Wonder.
Ooh.
Sade.
Ooh.
People like that. You know, those are people. Gladys Knight, I never worked with her. But then there's some new artists as well, like Bruno Mars. I would love to work with him. And there's, you know, I've started to appreciate country again. Mickey Guyton, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. She's like one of the first black female country artists. And she did one of my songs on her new album, her first album, which is her only album. And so I would love to produce some stuff on her.
I love it. I love it. I think that when you're such a creative, it always is when you listen to others, their musical styles, it inspires you to say, "Ooh, I could write this song that would just." And I love to hear that. I like how the producers and the writers are teaming up with new artists to create some legendary hits now. I love that concept. You have Babyface doing it, you're doing it. I mean, I love that concept because I think that music is a revolving door, and that the pen is what fuels the fire for so many people. And we need to have a vast variety of music that sticks to people's spirit and makes their soul dance. And so sometimes we have to have those legendary pens to come through, and with that education that they have, with the empowerment they have to be able to push some of these artists beyond where they are. So I love it.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. Yeah, and that's one of my favorite parts of having this platform of my experience and also being in the industry, to be able to inspire others, because really that's what it's all about. That's what happened for me with Tom Bell and Narda Mike Walden and Maurice White from Earth, Wind and Fire. Those were all mentors of mine, and they gave back. So that's what I like doing as well.
I love it. Well, we so appreciate you coming to kick it with us here on Hardcore Grind, sharing your time, your space, and your energy with us. Can you shout out where everybody can connect with you?
Yes, I'm on Facebook, just Preston Glass, and then, of course, those who know me know I always wear a hat, some kind of stylish hat, so that's how you'd be able to recognize me. What else? Of course, Instagram as pglass1012. pglass1012. That's my Instagram handle. I'm also on Twitter, Preston Glass Music. So website, there is one called Personal Touch Recordings, but primarily is social media is where you can catch me.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you so very much, Mr. Glass.
Well, thanks for having